the greater good. My first Warhammer love, the greater good. Way back, a long time ago, I knew these two guys who were trying real hard to get into 40K. And they were like, you got to play 40K with us. And I was like, 40K is for nerds, and I'm not doing that. And they begged me and begged me and begged me. And I was like, I'm not doing it. I want girls to like me. I'm not doing it. But one day I was over at one of the dudes' houses. Two dudes. One dude's a super cool guy, and the other dude's an absolute buster. These are stories I'll tell later in life. But I'm at one of those dudes' houses, and he's playing Dawn of War. And Soulstorm's not like... It was newish at the time. God, it's so long ago. It's hard to remember years. But I saw the Tau on the screen. He was playing one of the city levels, and there were fire warriors on the screen, and they were dope. And it got me into it. I fell in love at the moment. And I went down to my local friendly game store, and I went in and I bought this model here. This was the original Commander Star Crunch, and I rolled with him for a long time. He was my very first model. And we played games. Shortly thereafter, I got a box of Fire Warriors, I got a box of Kroot, and that was my army for a while. It was 16 Kroot, 10 Fire Warriors, 12 Fire Warriors, because back at the time it was 12, and one Crisis Suit that was the commander. And I rolled that way for a long time, and that's how I first got into 40K. And I absolutely love the Tau. Now, what you see before you is my painted Tau, right? But if we get into the closet, I have thousands of points of Tau that are not ready for our YouTube standard. But what had happened was, so at the time, I was married and I was miserable. And I was also very blue collar, always blue collar. I don't get a lot of sleep still. I would get home from work and I would be all cracked out and I would want to paint, but I was too cracked out to like do details, do highlights, to really focus on it. So I would just base coat stuff. And I did that for years. And what I ended up with is like 5,000 points of base coated Tau. And then we moved here and life got a lot calmer and I've gotten a chance to really step my hobby game up. And then we got a YouTube channel and now I'm officially, a dork 24/7. I can't seem to help it, and it's all I want to do, and it's all I want to talk about, and I am an absolute man-child, but here I am. So here are my Tau, and I love them. 10th edition now has happened, and unlike the other army reviews I've done, I now have points. I know what's going on here, and this list right here is 1,190 points, but not really, because the first thing we have to know is I have 3 ethereals, but I have 1 squad of Fire Warriors to attach them to. So I could put him on a squad, but these two guys, right, they don't have a home right now. So we'll shave 100 points off that list right there. The other thing I got to know is in the back over here, I have 5 marker light drones that also don't have homes anymore because they're war gear now. And they're not, doing their own thing. So I can put 1 on a squad of Fire Warriors. I can put 1 in the squad of Crisis Suits. I can put 1 on Commander Brightside. I got 5 more. And as the army flushes out, I'll always have a marker drone to throw on a unit. But those 5 marker drones don't have a home in the force now. Dyke Grek here, he doesn't have rules. And I'm not surprised. And I was fortunate that he had his Dyke Grek rules for as long as he has had them. He was great fun. And I remember times when like my Kroot were dying everywhere, but Grek was all right. He was doing okay. He wasn't as bad as the rest of them. But Grek's gonna have to be a shaper now. And that's just where he's going. That's what I have room for him to do. So I'll have 2 shapers and I can roll. I have 40 Kroot in the back. Big secret, they're not done yet. You see the highlights on the dogs. When the Kroot are all done, they'll be as bright as the dogs. I just got to do some more highlighting on them. But there's 40 of them, Other things to note. I have 2 squads of gun drones, 2 squads of 4. You could roll on 1 squad of 8, but gun drones took a huge hit. They suck. I mean, they straight up suck. They They're toughness 3 now. They've been toughness 4 forever, but now they're toughness 3, and they are OC 0. They're not holding anything. And you can attach them to a unit, but then they're just war gear from the unit. It's just, it gives that unit their guns. And so I'm going to roll them as their own units. And, you know, I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I haven't gotten any games of 10th in yet, but they're their own thing now. At least they still get to be units. Also, the shield drones over here are free. They're free, and they're only 1 wound per shield drone now. That's what they do. They just indicate extra wounds, but they're free, so why not take them? The game balance of 10th edition, I gotta tell you, I'm not sold on it. I'm trying not to get too dark side about it, because I know the Sigmar players have a similar system, and the Sigmar players seem like they're happy, and so we want to see it. But so if I give this squad all burst cannons, or if I give this squad all cyclic ion blasters, they're the same points, and that's just silly. I mean, it's really just silly. And also, I expect kids who play Tau now to just point at the crisis and be like, "Oh, those guns are actually cyclic ion blasters." I won't do that. I am super dedicated to WYSIWYG, and I'm going to stay dedicated to WYSIWYG. And it's going to hurt me too, because, like, I own 60 Fire Warriors, but I bought them all in the old kit when they used to come with 12, and they're all old Fire Warriors. There's a new Fire Warrior kit now, and it's beautiful, but I don't have any reason to buy it. I already have 60 Fire Warriors. But in that kit, you get the Guardian drone and the support turret. And the loss of the support turret, it doesn't bother me at all, but that Guardian drone makes your squad of Fire Warriors in 10th edition -1 to wound. I would love to have one of those in all of my squads, or in at least the existing squad of Fire Warriors I have. But of course, I do not own that model. And also, I have to point out that my squad of Fire Warriors do not have a Guardian drone, because it did not come in the kit when I bought them. But other people's Fire Warriors will have the Guardian drones because they're newer. But no matter which squad we're talking about, those squads are the same points. Everything I've seen about 10th edition, I've been into. I'm okay with where 10th edition is heading, except for that points breakdown. Oh, it hurt me. But anyway, Commander Brightside is, of course, still on the list. He will join Crisis Suits. He will bring, you know, I don't even need this marker drone, because the marker drone is war gear, and he's already in the squad, and they only need 1 marker drone. But Brightside stays in, and Brightside still gets to bring his 4 missile pods. So he's throwing Deca. Downside is there's no such thing as Iridium armor. There's no such thing as the Begal Hunter's plate. He's Commander Brightside now. And again, I have a lot of Tau in the closet. And I have a Cold Star battlesuit, Commander Starcrunch himself. And I have an Enforcer suit. And I have 6 more Crisis suits that are almost done. And so I really think putting a bunch of battle suits in this army is probably the thing that's going to happen. The other thing I'm really looking forward to is my armor core. I have Long Strike, 2 other Hammerheads, and a Skyray. And I'm thinking, if I buckle down on this list, which I think I might focus Tau for a little bit for my going into 10th edition. But I think at the end of it, there may be far less Kroot, and then I would have my armor core in the back and a bunch of suits up front. Speaking of Kroot, and what brought me to that thought anyway, because I love Kroot. Kroot are like my favorite. If you follow GW, because, you know, I'm an ultra nerd and I do. I follow the rumor engine that comes out on the community site, and recently we've seen a couple images that say that there are more Kroot coming. And it's not going to be like a Kill Team box, because we already have that box. So what's coming? What new Kroot are coming? What could they possibly be doing? Could it maybe be the Kroot Mercenaries Codex? Could we get a full range of Kroot? Can I get plastic Narlock, plastic Krootox? That Farstalker kit is awesome. I bought it once, I have it built, I have it base coated. I'll get back to that eventually. I'd like to buy it again, because each model in it has 2 builds, and I really love Kroot. And if they did have a big release and I had the opportunity to field 2,000 points of Kroot, I would have a real hard time not throwing money at Games Workshop. I would have a real hard time with that. And I'm trying really hard to be more frugal. You know, I got responsibilities. We're all poor people around here, but I would really like a lot more Kroot. Back in the day, like the ideas of Kroot, like Kroot eats stuff and becomes stuff, and through that you can have all different kinds of Kroot, like Kroot with wings, you know. Anyway, but this is what I got going on. I have 2 ethereals who aren't going to be on the list until I paint some more Fire Warriors. I have 6 marker drones that aren't going to do anything until I add some more suits. I have 2 4-drone squads of gun drones that absolutely suck now. I have 8 hounds. I have 2 more hounds to paint, but because Kroot hounds come in packs of 4, 8, or 12, I will either have to buy 2 more hounds, only roll them in 8, or have a less than ideal force while I'm paying for 12 but only running 10. I really do hate the points in 10th edition. And I know the Sigmar kids like it. I'm going to give it a chance, but currently I find it grating. Anyway, aside from any complaints that I may have been complaining, I have more hope for the Tau in 10th edition than my other forces. My orcs got kind of hit. I have a lot of work to do to bring them back up. In 10th edition, I had, 1,200 points of orcs, but now I have about 825, and that ain't cool. But the other thing, the orcs drive me crazy because, like, my list was 3 battle wagons with no gubbins on them, so they were 3 dirt cheap battle wagons. But now all battle wagons are the same, and so you might as well put all the gubbins on them. And that's not what I was doing, but I don't know. My whole head has changed about a lot of what I'm doing in Warhammer 40,000. But I'm super into Tau this edition. What would I put on the paint table first? My Sky Ray is almost done. And I have a bunch of Crisis suits that are almost done. I have a Riptide that's almost done. However, it is a recast from China, and it's really less than perfect. And being a YouTuber now, I've gotten vain about my models, and I don't know if I can put it on camera. But also, it's just nice to have a Riptide. Anyway, let's look at these. I'm very proud of my yellow and red. Another problem I had when I was starting out is you buy your first Warhammer models and you get this idea in your head about what they're going to be, and I'm going to paint them this way and that way, and like on day 1 I was like, my Tau are going to be red, yellow, black, and white. And boy, that was stupid. That was really stupid because this is a challenging scheme. Whenever I have to do the red and yellow on the Tau, it is challenging for sure. But it's rewarding too because they look great. And I think that the Tau are my most attractive army. And that's usually what I'm going for. Rule number 1, rule of cool. What makes me feel awesome? And then rule number 2, does it look good? And they do. Anyway, new rules. I'm kind of into the spotter observer guided thing. It's very Tau, but it seems a bit cumbersome. I guess I'm okay with Kayan because I always rolled Kayan anyway. But I also feel like, sometimes it's not time for Kayan. And until your codex comes out, you got nothing but Kayan. And so, I don't know. I often like to get ahead of the game. I like turn 1 and 2. Sometimes it's time to go crush your enemy. And if you got to wait till turn 3 to do it, I don't know. It's a way to play. I'll figure it out. I have high hopes for Tau. Commander Brightside will be leading the force. Commander Starcrunch might get done someday soon. But I feel good about the Tau. I feel good about the future. We will see.